Hello there, this is Levi from Masculine Intuition Readings, and today I want to do a little walkthrough and kind of a deep dive, but not too deep, of this. The Deva Tarot, published by Piotnik in 1982. Now this is quite a special deck. Look at that back design, love it. Because this deck contains 93 cards and this box is thick and filled to the brim. This is a really gorgeous vintage deck. It's really difficult to use, but Piotnik is known for having great cardstock. They go back they go way back. They started printing cards in 1882, I think. So there's history to this company, and this deck is really lovely. It's also very strange and weird. There's not that much information online. The little white book that comes with this is in French for me for this version. It was printed in Vienna, made in Austria. Gorgeous little deck. So let's dive into the deck. You're probably thinking, why 93 cards? Well, there is an extra major arcana card called the Separator. We'll see that soon. And there's a whole extra suit that kind of represents the fifth element, the element of ether, aether, whatever it is you want to call that. So yeah, let me get this box out of the way. This is a pretty standard yet really chunky tuck box, so there's nothing special about it. Rather, well, I mean, the design is awesome. It's very 80s, but a tuck box is a tuck box. So this deck, I have the major arcana here. This is thick. This cardstock is so thick. It's so thick. Look at that. This must be somewhere between 350 and 400 GSM. There's a very nice coating on it. There's a lamination on the front, which is not shiny. The backs are slightly more textured, if that makes sense. I love the back design. Really simple and very much stark in comparison to the very colorful fronts. Now you will see that this deck is not really following any tradition, but it is very Thoth-ish. So that's pretty cool. We start with the Fool. As you can see, there's a lot of symbolism in here, and I don't even want to begin to act like I know what is going on, but there is very much that that new beginning vibe. We have the lotus flower here. We have the snake that's coming in from behind him, but he's walking towards the sun on this weird road that is kind of I don't know, curving upwards into the sky towards that sun. Really interesting. Then we have the Magus, so that is very much that Thoth title, which I like because it sounds super mysterious. We have all the symbols here, so this is quite a simple card. Once again, we have the snake, but we have the wands, we have the swords, we have the cups, we have the coins, and we have the Triax right here, that ether element. Then we have, oh, I love this card, the Priestess. La Papesse. Really gorgeous. She is holding the veil that separates us from all the knowledge that she has within her. Really sensual, really demure almost with the pastels. Third eye is beaming. I don't know if that picks up on camera, but I'm guessing it does. The cards have a really awkward shape, which is really cool. It's not square, but almost. And all the images are contained within this this shape, and the titles are very present and in 3 languages. I love it. Then we have probably one of the most sensual, gorgeous Empress cards I've ever seen. Very voluptuous, very mermaid-like almost. Gorgeous. I mean, if there is any card representing abundance and growth and sensuality, it's this Empress right here with the little mushrooms growing, the flowers in her hair, the very opulent sofa she's laying on, these birds right here kind of getting it on. It's not very clear if she's pregnant, but she's very voluptuous, and she is holding a wand, kind of. I'm not sure. Can you guys see it? It's really pretty. Then we have a pretty traditional emperor. The color scheme seems right too. Really gorgeous, really pretty, really structured, really powerful, sitting on his throne. Really nice. And these paintings kind of remind me of you know, like way back in the day, I don't know if this is a European thing, but when you would go to the fairground or the carnival, like they would have paintings kind of in this style on the rides and on the fortune teller's booth and stuff like that. So maybe that's a European thing, but I love this. So here we have number 5, the Hierophant or the Antar. Really interesting, kind of getting that shaman vibe, kind of like he's in the middle of a ritual. He seems like he knows a lot, like he has a lot of knowledge. Very unusual Hierophant card, and I'm kind of here for it. Like he's kind of calling upon these spirits right here. I don't know if you can see that, but really interesting. Then we have the Lovers. We have the gender markings right there. Don't know if I find it that interesting per se, but it's a pretty Lovers card. It looks good. It looks nice. The dark and the light, the male and the female. I mean, it's a pretty standard Lovers card, except for the fact that we don't have the angel right here, which is something that I kind of like, actually. Then we have the Chariot. Now, this is a very interesting Chariot because I don't really see the Chariot per se. It's like it's this guy sitting on this cool throne, or I don't even know if it is a guy, and then there's these two like serpent-like dragons gliding ahead of him, almost as if he could travel with this setup right here, even though it's very stagnant. So maybe he's traveling elsewhere. Who knows? Really interesting. Great imagery. Then we have Justice with the scales. Ooh, and I've just noticed something for the first time ever, in that, like, I'd always seen this as a blue nice background, but there's actually a sort of an invisible female figure that's kind of painted in this watercolor background that is kind of, that is really nice. That invisible Justice is always there. Justice is a number 8. I love that. Justice is always watching you, even though you're not always aware of it. So that's kind of cool. I'd never seen it before. I love how vibrant these colors are. Great. All right, then we have a Hermit, pretty standard. He's kind of crouched down, like he's traversing through this cave. He's holding a wand that is kind of lighting up, so that's interesting, where that's kind of, it's doing something, so that's really interesting. And his lantern is gorgeous, and he's kind of traversing. He's not called the Hermit in English. He's called the Hermit in German and the Hermit in French, but he's called the Searcher in English, and he is kind of searching for something, isn't he? It's really interesting. Searching within, like, love that. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune. We do have, and this is pretty cool, we have some really cool symbolism here, because we kind of have these flames, then we kind of have this water, we have the snake right here, this female figure balancing on this side. It seems like she's kind of pulling the wheel this way, while the snake is kind of pulling the wheel this way, what's going to happen? There's a very interesting dynamic going on there. That's actually really cool. Love that. These cards feel so good. This is from 1982, and it feels like it's indestructible. Then we have a very risque strength. She is not holding down a lion. She's not asserting her dominance over a lion, but rather a dragon. And the dragon seems to kind of be, am I seeing this right? Let me check in on that. Yeah, the dragon seems to be very enamored by the nipples. But it is a pretty straightforward yet gorgeous card. Then we have the Hanged Man. Ooh, this is interesting. This color work. Wow. There's a lot of like weird stuff going on that I haven't even seen before. Like, what's this? This black that's going on over there. He is trapped, yet also in total control. That's really interesting. You see that snake? That snake's kind of like, hey, I got you, because he is totally suspended. This is not by choice. But then he's holding that snake and he's like, hey, wait a minute. I am in control. Very fierce gaze. Love that. Then we have Death. This is really cool. I'm kind of getting Goddess of Death, kind of getting, maybe, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that because I'm not a Hindu person, but I'm kind of getting Kali Ma vibes from this. Not sure if I'm right. I could check in the guidebook real quick, and I am going to do that right now, and you guys are not going to notice because I'm going to cut. No, the guidebook mentions a person of color is doing the dance of the dead. So that's really interesting, really nice, really great symbolism in there. Then we have Temperance, pretty standard, pretty traditional, nice, lovely. It's not an angel. A really ambiguous figure, a really gender fluid figure, which makes sense in a Temperance card because it is very much the art of mixing things together. Love that. Then we have the Devil. And this devil is really, really, really cool. We see these victims right here. We see this devil face right here. We see an inverted pentagram right here. A lot of symbolism is there. What I sometimes miss in the, what I really like in the Rider-Waite-Smith devil is that aspect of, hey, these chains are very loose. You could easily walk away. It's almost like these people are attached via their genitals, which is really, really weird. So that kind of gives off that do not be led into temptation vibe. Almost that Adam and Eve vibe. Really interesting. Okay, then we have the Tower, which is quite an interesting tower. It's not standard by any means, yet it is still pretty standard. It's almost like there's this unseen force right here that's kind of causing this collapse to happen, which is very nice because in the tower you kind of want to see that omnipotent force destroying everything that has been that needs to be destroyed. So that's really, really cool actually. And there we have these two people falling down. There's also this person down here looking around like, what the hell is going on? I don't know if you can see that well. It's very tiny. But overall, a lovely tower card. And we have these birds over here. They're kind of flying away from that darkness that's up here in the sky. They're flying away toward the light. This is a nice one, guys. Love that. The Star. Ooh. This is interesting. I mean, I could pretend like I know everything, but I don't really get some of the stuff here. For example, why is that cone on top of that light bulb? I mean, she looks really refreshed and renewed and ready to take on the world, like new hope, new glory, kind of getting that from this, but then again, not really, but maybe that's just me. The moon, gorgeous. Oh man, oh, there's a lot to dive in here. So we have these stairs right here. So you kind of want to climb up those, but there's these two figures here. I don't know what they are trying to tell you, but then again, there's also these spirits here that look kind of spooky and scary. So this may seem like a pretty intense road to take, but still you kind of have to because it's the only road, and also you're almost there. Like the journey that you've been on has brought you to this point right here, and you have to push through a little bit more. Pretty cool. And then we have the sun, which is kind of a more traditional sun. I'd say that I have seen suns like this in the Crowley Tarot with the two babies. These are not babies, these are two people. One of them looks more feminine, one of them looks more masculine, but they're still pretty gender fluid. All these astrological symbols are right there. Interesting sun card. I would have to study on that a little bit more, but it's really great. Then we have the Aeon. I love Aeon cards. So correct me if I'm wrong, but in his book, Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, Milo Duquette talks about the Aeon, and I never knew this because I always assumed it was just a cooler name for justice, but it's not really. It is a pretty, well, it's kind of similar and also pretty different. So Milo Duquette talks about the first Aeon, which is very much the Aeon of the matriarchy, where women were magical because they could give birth to a child and no one knew why that was. And then when people found out that it was because of men, shit went down and we went into the second Aeon. So the first Aeon was the Aeon of Isis, according to Crowley. The second Aeon was the Aeon of Horus, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. I'm not a company. I'm not a brand. I'm not a publisher. I'm just a guy from Holland doing tarot stuff on Instagram and YouTube. Anyways. And the Aeon signifies the entering of a new era, namely, I think the era of Thoth, I'm not quite sure, or the era of the age of Aquarius, so very much that entering from the matriarchal into the patriarchal and now into a new era of the, yeah, whatever it is we're entering into. And we've been entering for a while. So this is gorgeous symbolism. This is basically this flower right here, almost like a uterus with a crack in there. And that new era is almost bursting out, waiting to begin. So this is actually quite gorgeous. I love that. I have never seen an Aeon card this good. This is one of my favorites. Then we have the Universe, which is a pretty standard, the Universe card. Gorgeous though, really lovely. Once again, love the gender fluidity of most of these characters. Really interesting because the Universe is supposed to be a very gender fluid character, yet in the writer Wade Smith, it does look pretty much like a girl and is usually in all other decks also portrayed as a girl, but it's not necessarily that. It's this gender fluid completion of the journey. And then we have the Separator, which is a card I don't know that much about. I think it kind of separates the more grand themes of the major arcana from the smaller themes of the minor arcana. So that has been the major arcana of the Deva Tarot. Once again, gorgeous backs. Now let me get these out of the way real quick. Now let me bring in the suits. Now I'm not going to delve into the symbolism of all the pip cards. They are very thoughty, which I like. But we're gonna start with the cups. So we have the ace, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, gorgeously symbolizing that, like, difficult middle of the journey. The 6, the 7s, love that. The 8, the 9s, and the 10s, where the cups are dripping gold and liquid. Now, I really love how in sync these are with Lady Frida Harris Thoth art. Then we have the Princess, so this is very much that merfolk energy. Princess is earth of water, gorgeous. Then we have the Prince. Prince is air of water, hence the sword in his hands. The Queen. Queen is earth of water. Is water of water. So it's that ultimate water energy, pure emotion, pure intuition. Gorgeous, gorgeous illustration. And then we have the Knight. And the Knight is very much the fire of water. So that's how I read it, how I usually read them. And what's really interesting, I watched a live by Martin and Moran a couple of days ago on Instagram. And Moran kind of reminded me of the fact that I usually read court cards as significators, but he kind of reminded me of the fact that they can also be read as outside influences influencing the querent or the sitter, or however you would call the person you read for. So that was really interesting. So yeah, in the guidebook, she specifically mentions that the Queen is at the top of the kingdom, which is pretty cool. I have sorted them before going through the I had sorted them before going through the guidebook, so that was kind of my standard, like, oh yeah, this is how the court is always built up. But for some reason, and I kind of think that's cool, the Queen is at the top of the kingdom. So it's good to know that. Now, I did kind of mess up the order here. So I'm quickly gonna reshuffle this because I kind of want to keep them in order. That's just really neat. Yes. Okay. So that was that. Let's go to the other passive energy. Discs, my favorite suit. I love how these colors are showing up on the screen. They are very pastel. They are very vibrant though, so I really love that. So we have the ace, we have the 2, we have the 3. Love that, you know, these 3 coming together, forming this almost divine being, you know, great. We have the 4, gorgeous, like that structure, that power, very visible here. We have the 5. This is very reminiscent of the Crowley Tarot and Lady Frida Harris's art. We have the 6, once again, very reminiscent of that. We have the 7s. Seems like they also really kept to the color schemes that the Golden Dawn prescribes in almost all occasions. Not always, but very often they have. We have the 9, and we have the 10, which is very different. This is actually a very clear implication of abundance. Then we have the Princess, very earthy, very naked, earth of earth energy. So it's the most pure form of earth energy, really lovely. We have the Prince, which is air of earth. You can kind of see that with his wings sitting on that diamond. I love that symbolism. I also chose diamonds for my own deck. Then we have the Queen of Earth, which is water of earth, which is great that we see that so clearly here. I wish more decks did that. I really appreciate it. She's almost like this, with that hair also looking a bit like seaweed. Love it. So the more emotional, intuitive aspect of the earthly realm. Then we have the Knight, which is fire of earth. Really great. I hope I'm saying this right. I don't want to make a fool out of myself because I tend to think I know stuff, But then sometimes I can come off as someone that is really, you know, like someone that doesn't know all the stuff. So I'm gonna figure that out really quickly. Yep, I'm back. Definitely fire of earth. And we can kind of see that, right? That aggressive, and more aggressive energy regarding earthly matters. Like probably a go-getter, gets whatever it is he wants, good at his job. Pretty impressive package too. Interesting card, love that. Okay, so that was the suit of discs. Now let's head to the suit of swords. Really interesting. We kind of see like rune shapes, letter shapes here, which is pretty cool since the suit of swords is connected to air, and air is all about the intellect and communication. So that's rather nice. We have the two of swords, the three. Love this symbolism. Once again, a deck that uses a flower in the three of swords rather than a heart. Love that idea. Four of swords. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there are 4 swords. Really like almost holding this contraption in the middle together. So very much that structuring of the thoughts. Love that idea. 5 of swords, more or less that darker, going through that dark time. Very much that, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there are 4 like really dark swords. They look kind of menacing, and they're holding this 5th sword back. They're kind of keeping it in place. I love that idea. I think that is totally what the 5 of swords represents. Now, this is a pip deck, but the illustrations really mean a lot, so that's pretty cool. We have the 6 of swords, so there's more or less a new day coming. We're moving away from the darkness. Really great. 7 of swords. Ooh, this is interesting. Kind of get like all the planets here. That's really cool. I wonder, and I'm just gonna look it up on camera now. This is going to be a really hard edit because I am gonna have to edit some stuff out to make myself look smarter, but I also want to keep some stuff in. Because and this guidebook is also in French, and my French isn't that good. L'action des planètes est présente, mais la possibilité d'être par l'opposition au code naturel. Ah, really cool. So, naturel évidemment existe. This is kind of like that. Things are going in the opposite direction than you'd normally expect them to go. That's interesting. That's an interesting view on the 7 of swords, but also tying it in with that Chariot energy, very much taking control of ideas so much that you could literally move the universe in a different way. Like move, oh man, I love that idea. Really, really powerful and intense. Cool. Then we have the 8 of swords. Cool, interesting. Also kind of reminds me of the Thoth. The 9 of swords, piercing that diamond right here. Ooh, that's actually quite interesting because, that's really cool. And that introspection. You can really tie all these minors greatly into the major arcana. And then we have the 10 of swords, which is the completion. We see this eye right here. Everything that we thought we knew is being destroyed. We thought we had seen it all, but there's way more. So it's the end of something, but also the eyes are maybe, we're being introduced to a new realm. I love this deck. I should use it way more. Man, like filming these deep dives is so freaking interesting. Even though maybe you guys will not be watching everything of it, this is almost like, you know, taking the time to sit down with the deck and really studying it. So we have the princess right here. That's really interesting. We have the prince. We have the queen. And we have the king. Interesting. Cool. Like that. Like it a lot. All right, let's head into the wands. We have the Ace of Wands. We have the 2 of Wands. We have the 3 of Wands. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, we really, when we tie this into the Empress's vibe, we really see kind of like that. This almost looks like 3 flowers that are going to bloom, going into bloom. I kind of love that. Then we have the 4 of Wands coming together, more structured. The 5 of Wands, that darker time, darker era. We kind of see this dragon holding on to something, looking around him, kind of threatened. Don't you dare steal this from me. Interesting vibes. 6 of Wands. Really pretty. 7 of Wands. Once again, tying in nicely with that Chariot feel of that snake crawling upwards, going in for that diamond, like go-getting, action-oriented. Really lovely energy. 8 of Wands, swiftness. We really see that here. This really potent fire energy, gorgeous. 9 of Wands. Really interesting. Are we going from a stronger fire energy? Are we like devolving into something smaller, something that's more demure, something that's more within? Or are we evolving from something smaller to something bigger? And also, is this a harp? That's really interesting. So a harp is of course a music instrument, and the Suit of Wands is very much about that creativity, very much about developing that. And studying the harp takes a lot of time, takes a lot of like introspection and being alone. Oh, this is really interesting. There's so much. Did I already tell you guys that this deck wasn't kind of devised as a meditation tool rather than a tool to divine, even though you might as well use it as one? But I'm totally getting where these people are coming from, and that's really cool. And then we have the 10 of Wands. Really interesting. Once again, that darker energy. Because these other wands right here, they seem very brittle, very fragile, and we have these 2 huge clubs, and I think that they're about to obliterate that little network we have here. So that's really interesting. And what happens if they do? Because they are not doing it yet. Almost also seems like these 2 are kind of keeping the others down. So I'm also very much getting that 10 of Wands energy from the Rider-Waite Smith, where it's like, oh, I can barely take it anymore. Interesting. Then we have the lovely Princess of Wands. Great. Prince of Wands. That's pretty sweet. Queen of Wands. Oh yeah, I love that. This is what's on the box too. And we have the Knight of Wands. Well, the Knights are very action-oriented. Really love it. Very action-oriented, very much in fighting mode, very aggressive. And now, you know, this has been a very long video already, but I tend to really like and enjoy these. Because we have one more suit to get through, and that's the suit of Triax, and that's more or less the suit of Ether, the suit of the spiritual. Now, I don't know how to read this. Reading these French guidebooks has been quite easy for me, honestly. Probably not getting all the nuances, but you know, when you try to tie them in with the major arcana, they may kind of make sense, very much so. So this is the start of the spiritual development. So the energy of spirit in its purest form is being handed to you. Then we have the 2, which is tied in with the Priestess, which is all about that inner work, that gestation, which we kind of see. So, you know, that we just started, and, you know, things are kind of gestating from within, but there's definitely a potent energy there. And then in the 3 of Triax, we see that we're kind of like breaking free from that almost. There's definitely that growth going on, really gorgeous. Then we're headed for more of a sort of a structure. So our spiritual beliefs, our spiritual knowledge is kind of structured and kind of centering. The 5 is once again maybe going through that more difficult phase. The 6 is slowly moving, look at that, slowly moving away from that, everything that we, you know, like all those confinements that were holding that pentacle together right there are kind of like melting almost, so we can be free again of the shackles of that 5. Then we have the 7. Doesn't really speak to me that much per se, but it looks really gorgeous. And then we have the 8. Ooh, that's nice. 8 of Triax, tied in with Justice. Black and white, right or wrong within your spiritual practice. Really interesting. They're also kind of fighting, as you can see, so that's really, really cool. And then we have the 9. Oh yeah, kind of almost that, you know, like when you tie that to the Hermit, it's very much that sense of gazing up at the night sky. You're laying down, contemplating, where do I want to take this? My journey is almost complete. I have all this knowledge within me. And then for 10 of Triax, we have this gorgeously blooming vine. We are there. We've made it through this spiritual journey. Really pretty, actually. I always left this suit out whenever I read with the deck, but I may actually do a reading where I keep it in. So that's really cool. Then we have the Princess, so the more earthly form of spiritual development. Then we have the Prince, which is the more airy form of spiritual development. We have the Queen, which is more the watery form of spiritual development, and these attributions are very clearly shown within the illustration, which I love. And then we have the Knight, and this is the softest Knight that we have seen, and I really love these quartz. I love these cards, I love this deck. It is really thick, though. Like, let me show you guys how thick the deck is if you combine all the cards together. So this is just the minors. With the majors, it is more than 2 inches. It is 2 inches thick. And yeah, that is pretty intense. So that's probably also one of the reasons why I chose to maybe not use the whole deck all the time. But I'm just going to pull you guys one major because it's fun. Overhand shuffling is fine, not with a full pack though, but it glides flawlessly once again. This is an out-of-print deck, but it's worth its money if you can get it for a good price. I paid quite a lot for it, but this is a piece of art to me. Honestly, I genuinely love it. All right, let's see which major card we get. We get the Lovers. This really resonates with me today because I have a lot of choices and decisions to make. Choices between good or evil, choices between good, right and wrong, choices that are going to make quite an impact on my life. So I love that, and I also love the energy of love. And with that, I want to close this off. This has been Levi from Masculine Intuition Readings, showing you and reviewing for you and deep diving with you into the Deva Tarot. I've had a blast. Thank you very much for joining me, and goodbye.